Are DAOs about governance?
Starting with the assumption that DAOs are primarily instruments of governance is a starting point for destruction. If we were to rephrase this language, we would basically say this is machines of bureaucracy where people make decisions. And I'm really attracted to the idea of DAOs as games. And if you think about it, if you go to the store and you buy Monopoly, you don't spend a lot of time in governance when you play the game. You're playing the game. Is there governance involved? Yeah, you make decisions on how to play, but ultimately it's the playing of the game that produces value for all the players, and there's a natural competition. It's actually amplified. And so I'm bullish on governance minimization, and I'm bullish on the idea that there's another side to the wisdom of the crowds that has to do with the saying that a camel is a horse designed by a committee. I don't think everyone has something great to say. I prefer to think in terms of personas, the founders, the investors, the people who want to trade their labor for money and move back to the original joint stock idea. Joint stock companies, corporations represent 95, 97, probably higher of all profitable value generating engines in the world. And if we can tokenize those systems and make them transparent, make them programmable, make them have easy exit, then we create an ecosystem that produces real value. If we continue to draw from governance systems taken from governments, which are the worst run quote unquote businesses in the history of the world, and still try to hang on to this co-op oriented, everyone has equal say, I don't think it'll be a path that's going to lead us to something new and innovative.
Is there an alternative explanation for chaos in DAOs?
Even chaos and dysfunction may at a higher level actually be intended by founders because there's a social game happening there and a social competition that's not necessary to produce the product or the service, but it's engaging enough that people want to participate in it, making the appearance of sufficient decentralization. And so there may be a higher level of chess happening there.
What's a governance anti pattern?
No reputation. One way to think about DAOs as a platform, no platform exists without reputation. If you're selling empty boxes on eBay, your account's not going to last more than a day, or people won't buy from you because the history's so short. And so that reputational element ties you to the future. So maybe you even take the hit and don't get paid what you should, or come through and go further than you need just because you have a longer term incentive to build a good reputation in a particular network.
What are great governance patterns?
I'm not sure these constitute governance patterns, but you'd say they're org design patterns. People may be used to hearing some of these terms, and when you dive in, there's a lot. There's icebergs underneath the water of what's there. And I'd say agile first, cross functional autonomous teams, incrementally delivering user facing value and all the doctrine and science behind that. Team topologies, which specializes in Conway's law and managing cognitive load. The third would be platform design. Look up Sangeet Cloudnary, his whole aggregation theory. And the idea is in the future, you either are the platform or you're operating on the platform. And so you better know what's going on there. And then 3EO, which is basically the whole boundaryless crystallization of the Randan Hai approach and kind of launch platform. And all those I find extremely compelling. And I'm 150% convinced that's the future of all this stuff.